Hello guys, I'm Sam the Waterman, welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, please make sure you click the like and subscribe button. You'll probably realise that I'm not in my spearfishing garage today. We're actually on the border of Devon and Cornwall here. We're in the River Tamar. We've been doing some wrasse fishing around Drake's Island. Let's just say it's pretty cold, but we've had a really good time. You'll be glad to know that I'm not doing a 30-minute video on wrasse fishing around Drake's Island. What I'm actually going to do is take you through a recent dive that I went through before I went on holiday here to the UK. So yeah, let's roll the tape.
Absolute chaos down at the old Kennedy Drive boat ramp today. There's a lot of people, not enough spaces to park the boat. Did try and save a nice parking spot for the boys. A couple old fellas tried to bash me head in pretty much. Ooh, gotta love it, gotta love it. Here he comes. Big Lando's on the way. Here's the boys. Ready and rearing.
Good morning, guys.
Okay, so here we are. We've jumped over the side of the boat. We're on our first drop now. It's pretty dark and gloomy. The sun has barely come up, so yeah, it's a little bit nerve-wracking down there, to be honest. It's common that sharks and bigger fish are most actively hunting at this time of day, which is part of the reason why we get in. And here they show up. There's some big barracuda here. We don't take these in Australia generally, as they contain ciguatera. But still super cool to see nonetheless. There's Landon keeping an eye on me, being a good dive buddy there. He's always a good guy to go diving with. Keeping it to the book. Here we go on drop number 2. Now, I did see a little bit of something from the surface. Just make out in the gloom there, I've highlighted them. There's 2 Spanish mackerel, really lovely fish. I'd try and pick the biggest of the 2, get a good shot. It looks like it just sort of stones it and spines it there, but as I start making my way to the surface I realise that actually isn't the case. I've just sort of shopped it. I do get a really good mid-body shot. It would have been very close to the spine, but this fish still has plenty of life in it. Starts taking line here, starts towing me a little bit. I've got a good feeling that this shot is a good holding shot, so I'm not too worried. Call over some help. It's always good to have a dive buddy around, just to make sure that if you do need a second shot, they're there to help you out. Here's a good example of Landon being a good dive buddy again. Going down there. You can just see the power of the fish now. It's really starting to, as I'm trying to reduce the level of line coming out my reel. Landon comes to the surface. Shot's good, bro, apparently. So we're good to go. It's nice. You definitely don't want to put too many holes in your fish unless it is really needed. Can sort of ruin the fillets and, you know, If you don't need a second shot, it is best to just land the fish on your own, in my opinion. And that's what I'm going to do here. So it's just a case of really trying to, like, inch by inch, just try and close the gap on the fish. They do tend to wear out pretty quickly, generally, not all the time, but here we go. You can just see it now, just starting to come to the surface. You can see it's still giving some big kicks, which is pulling the line. But as I said earlier, it is a sharky time of the day, so I don't really want to just keep letting it run and run and run and run, because at any point a shark can just come out of that gloom and just snatch it. So I'm pretty keen to get it into my arms as quickly as possible. It's just a case of bit by bit closing it. You generally, as they get right up towards your arms, they give another big kick like this. But as soon as you can get a hand around that tail or a hand inside the gill plate, it's pretty much lights out. And there we have it. Just enough time for a quick grip and grin. Get a better idea of the scale of the fish from this angle. You can see there that shot narrowly missed the spine for a stone shot, but it was that fish was never getting off, basically. Good way to start the day. First drift. Woohoo! Pretty great out here today, but it hasn't kept the fish away. First drift, we in again, baby. Oh, yes. Lovely bit of Spanish mackerel. What are we doing now? Okay, so after doing my shift of being boaty and looking after the boys from the surface, I get back in. You can see it's a lot lighter now in the water. I see a real cool looking ledge here. Almost looks like a bit of man-made reef, but unsure really. And straight ahead, there's a massive ledge. Now the current pushes against this, and basically a lot of bait fish aggregate around here, so it's always a good place to check out if you see something like this. I spot a Queensland groper there heading towards me. These things get absolutely massive and can be pretty intimidating really. They're a protected species pretty much the whole way around Australia. So please don't take these fish. There's been a bit of bad media recently about spearfishermen taking these fish, so please don't. Okay, so here we go. I've just breathed up and I'm ready again for another drop. I'm still sort of hunting for these Spanish mackerel. They've sort of been hanging often around mid-water, and they're pretty curious fish often, so they're not afraid to come in. On this occasion I decide to sit just off the bottom and give a little flick of my flasher to see what happens, see if I can attract anything in. I see something just appearing out the murk here. You can see it there. This is actually a African pompano. This is the first time I've ever shot one of these fish. They're pretty rare to see as far as I'm aware in the area, so this is a pretty cool one to tick off the list, that's for sure. It's definitely not a big fish in terms of how big these fish can get, but still great dinner size. I was pretty chuffed. At this point I wasn't 100% sure what this species was. We get so many different types of trevally here. Often get people asking me, hey Sam, what's this species of trevally? There's literally so many different types, slight variations, so I thought this was some sort of diamond trevally. So I was still pretty happy just to tick off a new trevally species. You can see I start reeling it to the surface here. It's got these really cool fins and big stringy sections that come off the back of the fins. It's super pretty. I felt a little bit bad shooting it, to be honest, because it's so pretty underwater, but at the same time I thought, yeah, she's coming home with me, baby. You can see those string sections there, they're pretty amazing, especially when it's swimming underwater. They just sort of hover like ghosts. It's really cool. You get a better look at it here. You can see it's a really unique looking fish, some really cool hues and colours on it, and just those fins again, they're just really unique looking fish. Super pretty. Shortly after all this is going on, I hear some commotion from the surface. At this point I'm slightly downstream and down current from Landon, my dive buddy. He's shouting me over. I'm presuming he shot a fish. You can see all the bait fish sort of darting around here underneath me. It's usually a pretty good indicator if something's happening. Now, I'm really trying to kick against the current here. You can almost see it knocks my GoPro off the hinge. So I'm trying to fiddle around with it a bit here. You can just see down there now there's a big Spanish mackerel sort of wriggling about. So Landon's basically wanting a second shot on this fish. I don't think he's got the best shot, but he goes down here. Again, I'm just wriggling around with my GoPro. He gets a second shot on it there with Ryan's gun. Ryan handed him a gun from the boat. You can see Landon coming up here from the surface now. The fish has 2 shots placed on it pretty well. This is a big fat fish. Landon did really well to land it on his own.
It's a nice one.
Thanks, buddy. It was the weirdest shot on mackerel I've ever seen.
Landon was actually pretty convinced that I didn't want him to land the fish and that I was swimming over slowly, so he lost it. But it is sometimes really difficult. It's hard to see in the clips, but swimming against the current is hard. Okay, done a few more drifts. We've got a few more fish as well. Let's see if I can show you. Landon shot an absolute king mackerel. She is fat and stinky. Haven't weighed it yet, but it's pretty chunky. We've got a nice cobia in here as well. So far, so good. 2 mackerel, 1 cobia, and my little weird trevally finger. I'm not sure what type of trevally it is. Diamond trevally, maybe? There's too many to count around here. Ooh. You can see here the conditions are really starting to glass off a bit. There's still a bit of swell, but it's lovely diving. Here's a nice clip of a dive. Don't actually shoot anything in this drop. It's easy to sometimes think, my videos included, that sort of every drop you're shooting great fish. That really isn't the case, but we do have to sort of pick and choose the best clips, obviously, to keep people interested. You can see as I hit the bottom here that there's still plenty of fish life around. This is probably what 90% of the drops look like. Just big swordtail surgeon fish swimming around, which are arguably a great fish to take in themselves, but not highly sought after in terms of fish that people are trying to shoot, simply just because of the huge numbers of them. It doesn't really provide much difficulty or skill. Speaking of skill and difficulty, it's not truly a Sam the Waterman video without me horrendously spoofing and messing up a shot. I've just snapped one of the bands on my gun, so Landon's given me his gun, which is the first mistake where I went wrong. It's always difficult firing someone else's gun. Hit the bottom here, so many surgeons around, heaps and heaps of them. You can see here just out the corner of my eye, Spanish mackerel starts coming over. It's sort of coming over my back shoulder, so it's hard to sort of move and drag the gun round. I line it up to where I would normally shoot. That is an absolute terrible shot. That's ripping out for sure.
Are you feeling mad? Yeah. Are you feeling kind of sad too? Yeah.
Get to the surface and let a giant frustrated scream. But still, a super successful day on the water. As you can see, here's some photos. Lovely cobia there from Ryan. That mackerel that London shot is absolutely huge. So fat. Wasn't the longest, but just super fat. Remember guys, if you enjoyed it, like and subscribe, turn on your notifications, and I will see you again next time. Yoo-yoo!